Hey, it's Naomi. Girl, you are not ready for this one. You know the Amy Bradley case, the 23-year-old who vanished from a cruise ship and was never seen again. I've been obsessed with this story for weeks, and let me tell you, there are four theories about what really happened that night. And honestly, each one is wilder than the last. We're talking about a fall that doesn't add up, a trafficking ring with real witnesses, a cruise ship cover up that goes deeper than you think, and girl, this one's going to be controversial. A family secret that might explain everything. By the end of this, you're going to have to decide which theory you believe. And trust me, it's not as simple as you think.
March 1998. Amy Bradley is on the Rhapsody of the Seas with her parents and her brother Brad. On the last night of the cruise, she is dancing with the band, living her best life. At 5:15 a.m., elevator footage shows her heading back to her cabin, sandals in hand. Her dad Ron sees her on the balcony at 5:30 a.m. By 6 a.m., she is gone. No shoes, no cigarettes, no trace. The family searches, the crew delays, the ship docks. And Amy? She vanishes into thin air. Depending on who you ask, what happened next is either a tragic accident, a horrific crime, or something the family does not want you to know. Theory 1. The accidental fall. This is what Royal Caribbean wants you to believe. Amy was tired, maybe disoriented, went out on the balcony for a smoke, leaned too far over, and fell. Case closed, right?
I've been on cruise ships, and I remember the first time I stepped out onto that balcony, I was actually surprised by how high the rails were. They're not just a little fence. They're built to keep people safe, even if you're not paying attention. You'd have to really try to get over this. It's not like you can just trip and tumble over. You'd have to climb or at least make a conscious effort to lean way out. Amy was athletic, coordinated, and not the type to take risks like that.
No splash was heard. No body was ever found. The Coast Guard searched for days. Nothing. Her cigarettes and lighter were gone. If she fell, would not those still be on the balcony? The ship's motion sensors that detect someone going overboard never went off. There is also the fact that Amy had plans for when she got home. She had just gotten a new job. She was excited about her dog, and she was close with her family. People who are about to start a new chapter do not just vanish by accident. It is not impossible, but it is not adding up. Theory 2. The trafficking ring. This is where it gets dark. Multiple witnesses claim they saw Amy after she disappeared. Not on the ship, in Curacao, in Barbados, in brothels across the Caribbean. A Navy officer says a woman whispered to him that her name was Amy Bradley and she begged him to help. A taxi driver says he saw her with two men, looking terrified. In 2005, someone emailed Amy's family pictures of a woman who looks exactly like her, in lingerie, with the same tattoos. The FBI analyzed them and said the bone structure matches, but they cannot confirm it is her.
Let's talk about those sightings for a second.
The Navy officer's story is especially chilling. He said he was in a brothel in Curacao when a woman with green eyes and the same tattoos as Amy grabbed his arm and begged for help. He did not know about Amy's case at the time, but when he saw her photo later, he was convinced it was her. The taxi driver said Amy tried to get his attention, but the men with her pulled her away. These are not just random rumors. These are people who had no reason to make this up. Cruise ships in the 1990s were hunting grounds for traffickers. Young women traveling alone or getting separated from their groups were prime targets. Crew members had connections at every port. If Amy was targeted, drugged, and smuggled off that ship, she could have been in another country before her family even knew she was missing. Once you are in that world, getting out is almost impossible.
But here's my question. If this is true, how did they get her off without anyone noticing?
On cruises now, you have a card. You scan in, you scan out. Every time you leave or board, they track you. They know exactly who is on and who is off. In 1998, it was not as high-tech, but they still had manifests. So how does someone smuggle a whole person off a cruise ship without any record, unless someone on the inside helped? The cruise line was in a hurry to get everyone off the ship that morning. The family begged them to keep passengers on board, but the crew said no. Hundreds of people left, and if Amy was disguised or escorted by someone with authority, she could have slipped right through. It is terrifying to think about, but it is possible.
This is the one that keeps me up at night.
Remember the band member Alistair Yellow Douglas? He is the last person seen with Amy. They are dancing and taking photos, and then, hours later, he tells Brad, "Sorry about your sister," before anyone else knows she is missing. How does he know? Amy told her family the crew was creeping her out. They were following her, showing up at her cabin, and asking her to leave the ship with them. One staff member was so persistent that Amy's dad had to intervene. After Amy vanished, that same crew member disappeared at the next port and never came back. The band member changed his story 3 times and then left the cruise industry completely.
Having been on cruises, I know the crew has access to everything.
They have master keys, they know the blind spots, and they know the routines. Back in 1998, before strict check-in and check-out systems, if a crew member wanted to help someone disappear or leave the ship unnoticed, they could probably pull it off. There is also the issue of the ship's security. The family asked for a full search, but the crew only did a modified search. They did not check every room, every closet, or every staff area. If Amy was being hidden, or if someone was helping her stay out of sight, it would have been easy to miss her. The cruise line had every reason to keep things quiet, bad for business and bad for reputation. The family begged them to seal the ship, but they refused. By the time local police got involved, hundreds of people had already disembarked. There was no card scanning and no digital records, just chaos.
But here's the part that doesn't add up. Why would the crew take such a huge risk for one passenger?
Unless Amy saw something she should not have, or someone had a reason to make her disappear. Cruise ship staff are a tight-knit group. If one person was involved, it is possible others helped cover it up. Maybe Amy witnessed something illegal, or maybe she rejected someone who didn't take it well. Whatever the reason, the crew's behavior after her disappearance is suspicious. They were evasive, inconsistent, and quick to move on. This is the theory nobody wants to talk about, but we are getting there.
What if the family knows more than they're saying?
Brad was the last family member to see Amy. They had been drinking together all night. Some witnesses say they saw them arguing earlier. After she disappeared, Brad's story had inconsistencies. First, he says he was asleep when Amy vanished. Then he says he saw her on the balcony. Then, he says he does not remember. The timeline keeps shifting. The parents immediately assume she has been kidnapped. Not that she fell, not that she ran off, but that she was taken. Why jump to that conclusion so fast? Unless you know something that makes the other options impossible.
I'm not saying the family did something to Amy.
But what if there was an accident? What if Brad and Amy got into a fight, maybe about her partying, maybe about the guys she was hanging with, and something went wrong? What if she fell or hit her head, and in a panic, they covered it up? Cruise ship balconies are small. If 2 people are out there arguing, things can get physical real quick in that tight space. One push, one stumble, and everything changes. The family controls the narrative. They are the ones pushing the trafficking theory. They are the ones who sued the cruise line. They are the ones on every documentary and every news show, keeping the story alive. But what if that is the point? What if keeping everyone focused on trafficking and cover-ups means nobody looks too closely at what happened in that cabin? Family dynamics can get complicated, especially in stressful situations. Maybe there was a secret, a fight, or a moment of panic that led to a cover-up. It is uncomfortable to think about, but sometimes the truth is closer than we want to believe.
Girl, no matter which theory you believe, there are holes.
If she fell overboard, where is the body? Why didn't the sensors go off? Those rails are high. If she was trafficked, how did they get her off the ship without being seen? Even without modern keycards, they still had to account for passengers. If the crew was involved, why take such a huge risk for one passenger? If the family knows something, why keep searching for 27 years? The cruise industry has changed a lot since 1998. Security is tighter, technology is better, and there is more awareness about passenger safety. But back then, it was a different world. People trusted the system, and the system was not always looking out for them. Amy's case is a reminder that sometimes the people in charge do not have all the answers or do not want to share them.
This case has more questions than answers, and honestly, that's what makes it so haunting. Here's my take. Having been on cruise ships myself, I think something happened that multiple people wanted to keep quiet.
There was a lack of proper check-in and check-out systems back then. The crew had unlimited access, and the high balcony rails made accidents unlikely.
It all points to this being more than just a simple disappearance.
Maybe Amy saw something she should not have. Maybe she was in the wrong place at the wrong time. Maybe someone made a split-second decision that spiraled out of control. But whatever happened, the cover-up started immediately. There was a delayed search, missing footage, and changing stories.
It all points to people protecting themselves instead of finding Amy.
The saddest part is, Amy's out there somewhere. Whether she is alive or not, whether she is waiting to be found or already gone, she deserves the truth. Her story deserves to be told. If you have ever been on a cruise, you know how easy it is to feel both safe and vulnerable at the same time. You are surrounded by people, but you are also isolated in the middle of the ocean. It is a place where anything can happen, and sometimes it does.
Amy's story is a warning, a mystery, and a tragedy all at once. So that's where we are. 4 theories, 0 answers, and a mystery that's haunted us for almost 3 decades.
What do you think happened to Amy Bradley? Which theory makes the most sense to you? Or do you have a completely different idea? Drop it in the comments below.
Because honestly, I think we're all missing something. And if you're as obsessed with this case as I am, hit subscribe. Because you and me, we're going to keep digging until we find the truth. Girl, this story is far from over. And you better believe I'm not letting it go.